Hello and welcome to our first video in our Excel for Finance series. Today we're going to be looking at mean, variance and standard deviation within Excel. And before I get started, don't forget to visit our website, conquerfa.com. The link will be in the description to download a copy of this Excel spreadsheet so that you can have a look at it and reinforce some of the concepts that we're going to be learning today. So over on the right hand side here we do have some formulas, although you don't need to memorize them or anything like that, but they are just helpful in understanding what we're doing. So we also have on the left some annualized returns of two stocks. We've got Walmart and Apple. So these are annual returns for the year ending 2019 all the way back to year end 2015 calendar year, and it's the annual returns for that year. So we've got some positive years here, a couple of negative years going back the last 5 or so years. And we are going to calculate the mean or the average return for each stock over that period, the standard deviation for each stock, and also the variance. And Excel makes that extremely easy to do. So first up, we'll look at the mean. So the mean is just the average. We can refer to our formula on the right here. Essentially what this means is we're taking all our scores or all our data points. We're going to add them all together. So 30 plus -3 plus 46, etc. And we're just going to divide them by the number of scores. So we have 5 scores altogether, so we divide whatever number we get by 5, and that's going to give us our mean or average return. It's also our expected return for the period. So expected return is just another way of saying average return. And Excel makes it really easy. We don't actually have to use this formula at all. We can refer to the function that's inbuilt into Excel called the average function. So we'll just select the cell here. We'll type in equals average, put in a open bracket, and we'll just highlight the cells that contain our data. So C7 to C11, and then we'll close the bracket and press enter. And that's going to calculate our mean of 12.53.28%. Similarly for this column for Apple, we'll do the exact same thing. Equals average, the bracket, and press enter. So that's going to give us 28.3% for that one. Now a really cool trick in Excel is that we can, rather than typing in that function again, if I delete the data in that cell, we can actually just click the corner of this cell, drag it across to the next cell, and that's going to shift the formula over, and because we've moved it over to the right one column, it's also going to, Excel's quite intelligent and going to realize that we want to calculate the average of the Apple data and fill it all in for us, which is really handy if you're working with large spreadsheets. So for standard deviation, again, Excel makes it really easy to calculate. There's an inbuilt function. Normally, if you were to calculate standard deviation by hand, you would first calculate variance, which is the standard deviation squared, and then take that value and take the square root of it to find standard deviation. In Excel, it's actually easy to work sort of the other way and use the inbuilt standard deviation function to calculate our standard deviation. And then if we want to know what our variance is, we can just take that value that Excel gives us and square it to work out variance. What variance is finding is we are taking each score, subtracting the mean score that we've calculated here from it to work out or compute the deviation between the score and the mean. Then we're taking all those deviations. So if we have 5 scores here, we'd have 5 different deviations. We're squaring those deviations and then adding them together. and then dividing it by n minus 1, which is the number of scores minus 1. So we have 5 scores, so we're dividing it by 5 minus 1 is 4. Divide by 4 in this case. The reason why we divide by n minus 1 is because we've taken a sample of annual returns from these stocks. So obviously Walmart stocks and Apple stocks have been around for a number of years. We're only looking at 5 years, so we've extracted a sample from that population data set. If we were looking at the entire population, then we would only divide by n. So we divide by the total number of scores. But because this is a sample, we divide by n minus 1. Now in Excel, there's the standard deviation function. So we go equals STDEV. And there's two that we can select from. So we have standard deviation.P for a population and standard deviation.S for a sample. So I just explained that we're already dealing with a sample in this instance, so we're going to actually use the standard deviation.S for a sample, and that's going to divide by n minus 1. So then we're just going to open the brackets, select our scores, close the brackets and press enter, and then we're going to use that trick that we learned before to just move that across into the next cell, and that's going to copy over the formula for us and refer to our new set of scores in the D column. So finally, to calculate the variance, we're just going to refer to those standard deviation cells. So for our Walmart standard deviation, that's in cell C17. So we're just going to type in equals C17, and then that's going to highlight that cell, so we know that's what we're referring to, and we're just going to square it by typing in that symbol there, and then the number 2 to square it. Press enter. That's going to compute our variance for Walmart, and we can just drag that across to the other side, and that's going to copy the formula over to the D column. It's going to update it and refer to our D17, which is our Apple standard deviation, and then again it's just squaring that and pressing enter. And so we have our variances of 0.08 and 0.16. So that's how you compute the mean, variance and standard deviation in Excel. And remember, you can download this exact spreadsheet and have a look at the formulas and try it out for yourself and alter the data and compute these scores if you visit our website conquerfa.com, which contains a whole bunch of resources for finance. And the link for that will be in the description. If you have any questions, just comment below and like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content.